What if I told you the most beloved car in cinematic history was never supposed to be white? That's right. Herbie, the star of Disney's The Love Bug, was originally pitched in Battleship Gray, until a studio executive's daughter pointed at a passing VW and said, "That one's happy." That single moment changed automotive pop culture forever. But here's the real shocker. The car you think you know, the pristine pearl-white Beetle with red racing stripes, was actually built from junkyard parts powered by an engine that kept failing on set and nearly scrapped after the first film bombed in test screenings. Today, we're uncovering 20 bizarre, buried, and barely believable truths about the 1963 Volkswagen Beetle that became a global icon. From factory secrets to Hollywood heartbreaks, from legal battles to lost prototypes, you'll see Herbie not as a cartoonish prop, but as a meticulously crafted machine with a legacy far stranger than fiction. And wait till you hear why number 1 forced Disney to destroy every surviving Herbie after the final film, and why one may still be hidden in a secret warehouse. The 1963 Volkswagen Beetle wasn't just a car, it was the people's machine. A post-war miracle of engineering simplicity that conquered the world. But in Herbie's hands it became something more, a symbol of joy, resilience, and rebellion against the chrome-plated giants of Detroit. If you love automotive folklore and cinematic magic, hit like and subscribe, because this story's got more charm than Herbie's horn. Number 20. Herbie wasn't supposed to be white or friendly. The original Herbie was gray, silent, and sinister. Not the lovable hero we know. When producer Bill Walsh pitched The Love Bug to Walt Disney in 1966, the concept centered on a haunted, malevolent car that terrorized its owner. Early scripts called the vehicle the Evil Bug, a black or gray 1963 Beetle with flickering headlights and a growling engine. It was inspired by Stephen King's unpublished short stories. But Walt Disney rejected the horror angle, insisting the car be wholesome, funny, and full of heart. The shift came after Walsh's young daughter saw a white VW Beetle at a gas station and declared it smiling. That's when Herbie was born. The white paint wasn't just aesthetic, it was philosophical. Volkswagen's L87 Diamond White became Herbie's skin, symbolizing innocence in a world of muscle cars and tail fins. Authentic Herbie tribute builds must use L87 with a specific pearlized formula discontinued in 1967. Modern pure white paints lack the subtle shimmer seen on screen. Check the paint code on the driver's door jamb. L87 confirms factory white. And if you think that's wild, number 19 reveals how many Beetles were actually destroyed just to keep Herbie alive. Number 19. Over 50 Beetles were used and most were sacrificed. Herbie didn't just race, he multiplied, died, and was reborn again and again across 6 decades of film. From The Love Bug to Herbie, fully loaded Disney used an estimated 54 Volkswagen Beetles to portray the sentient machine. Each film required multiple hero cars for close-ups, stunt cars for crashes, and background cars for crowd scenes. In the original 1968 film alone, 14 Beetles were modified. 5 were totaled during the famous cliff jump scene. For Herbie Rides Again, 12 more were built, many with reinforced chassis to handle New York City street stunts. By the time of fully loaded, digital effects reduced the need for physical cars, but 8 custom Beetles were still built, including one with a functional sunroof and GPS navigation hidden in the glove box. Most were scrapped after filming to prevent unauthorized replicas. Only 11 are confirmed to survive today. Surviving screen-used Herbies have unique VIN prefixes and hand-drilled holes for hidden camera mounts. Beware of clones using 1965-1967 Beetles. The headlights and rear lenses are subtly different, but it gets weirder. Number 18 exposes the engine myth that fooled fans for decades. Number 18, Herbie's engine was constantly failing and often fake. Despite the purring on screen, Herbie's 1200cc engine was notoriously unreliable and sometimes not even running. The 1963 Beetle came with a 40-horsepower flat-4 air-cooled engine, adequate for city driving but strained by Hollywood demands. During filming of The Love Bug, Herbie's engine overheated repeatedly in California heat. The crew resorted to hiding electric fans under the rear seat and spraying water on the engine case between takes. For high-speed scenes, some Beetles were fitted with 1600cc engines from later models, but these were never shown on camera. Even more shocking, in static shots the engine was often turned off, and the sound was added in post-production using recordings of a tuned 1300cc motor. The iconic putt-putt was actually sped up by 15% to sound more energetic. True Herbie spec engines have the AE engine code and lack emission controls, pre-1968. Look for hand-soldered wiring and non-factory oil coolers as signs of movie use. The twist? Number 17 reveals how one Herbie sparked a real lawsuit with Volkswagen. Number 17, Volkswagen sued Disney, then became Herbie's biggest fan. The German automaker didn't just ignore Herbie, they tried to kill him in court. In 1968, Volkswagen of America feared the film would portray the Beetle as a joke, a clown car, in a world of Mustangs and Corvettes. They filed a cease and desist claiming trademark infringement and brand dilution. But after test screenings showed audiences adoring Herbie VW reversed course. By 1969, they were running ads that read, "If Herbie can win the El Dorado, imagine what your Beetle can do." Sales of the Beetle in the US jumped 22% in 1969, the highest increase in a decade. The lawsuit was quietly dropped, and VW even donated Beetles for Herbie rides again. The irony? Herbie saved the Beetle's image in America just as Detroit was writing it off as obsolete. Original 1969 VW ads featuring Herbie are now collector's items. Framed copies sell for $300 plus at auto memorabilia auctions. And that's not all. Number 16 uncovers the secret reason Herbie's roof was reinforced. Number 16. The roof was laced with steel for stunt safety. That smooth curved roof wasn't just for looks, it was a hidden roll cage. After a near-fatal rollover during a test stunt in 1967, the production team reinforced every Herbie with internal bracing. Thin steel rods were welded along the roof bows and down the A and B pillars, then covered with fiberglass and paint. This turned the unibody Beetle into a crude safety cell, critical when the car flipped during jumps or slid on its roof. The modification added 85 pounds but saved lives. Cameras rarely filmed from above, so the roof had to look stock, meaning the steel was completely invisible. Cutaway, X-ray. Image of roof structure. Authentic screen-used Herbies show telltale weld marks under the headliner. Replicas often skip this, making them unsafe for real stunts. Use a magnet. Steel bracing will attract it through the paint. Here's the kicker. Number 15 reveals how Disney almost cast a different car entirely. Number 15. Herbie was almost a Renault Dauphine before the Beetle. Disney tested a French economy car as the Love Bug. In 1966, the studio considered the Renault Dauphine Fiat 500 and even the Chevrolet Corvair for the lead role. The Dauphine was the front-runner. It was small, quirky, and available in white. But during screen tests, its front-wheel drive layout made it look clumsy in tight turns. The Beetle's rear-engine, rear-wheel drive setup gave it a unique, tail-happy drift that read as personality on camera. Director Robert Stevenson reportedly said, "The Beetle dances. The Dauphine just waddles." Volkswagen's simple, symmetrical design also made it easier to animate in fantasy sequences. The test Dauphine still exists in Disney's archives, painted white with red stripes. It's never been displayed publicly. But there's a twist. Number 14 exposes a design flaw that made the Beetle terrible for racing. Number 14, the Beetle's rear engine. Made it unstable at high speed. On screen, Herbie zipped through hairpin turns. In reality, he was one bump from flipping. The Beetle's 65-35 rear weight bias caused dangerous oversteer above 60 mph, especially on loose surfaces. During the El Dorado race scene, stunt drivers had to countersteer constantly to avoid spinning out. The crew added 200 pounds of lead ballast to the front trunk to balance the car, but this reduced top speed to just 72 mph. Real racing Beetles of the era used swing axle suspensions that jacked up during cornering, lifting the inside rear wheel off the ground. Herbie's team replaced this with a Z-bar anti-roll system from a Porsche 356, a secret mod never disclosed to VW. Authentic Herbie builds include front ballast boxes and modified rear trailing arms. Stock Beetles lack these and are far less stable. Even more shocking. Number 13 reveals how one Herbie survived a 30-foot drop into the ocean. Number 13. One Herbie was dropped in the Pacific and resurfaced. 20 years later. After a stunt gone wrong, a Herbie sank off the California coast and was found by a fisherman in 1988. During filming of Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo, a chase scene called for Herbie to plunge off a cliff into the sea. The stunt car, Herbie 7, was fitted with watertight seals and a buoyancy bladder. But the bladder failed and the car sank in 40 feet of water. The crew wrote it off. In 1988, a lobster diver spotted a white beetle half buried in kelp near Malibu. It was recovered, restored, and authenticated by Disney archivist Dave Smith. The car still had its original red stripes and 1963 hubcaps, though the engine was encrusted with barnacles. It now resides in the Peterson Automotive Museum. Ocean Herbie has unique corrosion patterns on the floor, pans visible only under UV light. Its VIN is logged in Disney's stunt records. And that's when things get weird. Number 12 uncovers Herbie's secret twin. Number 12. It shared a body with a military jeep. Herbie's silhouette was nearly identical to a Nazi-era military vehicle Volkswagen's Dark Origin. The Beetle was designed by Ferdinand Porsche in the 1930s as the KDF wagon for Hitler's Reich. During WY1, the same Wolfsburg factory that built Beetles also produced the Kübelwagen, a military off-roader based on the Beetle chassis. Same flat-four engine, same rear layout, same 94-inch wheelbase. After the war, British forces revived the Beetle as a civilian car scrubbing its Nazi ties. Disney knew this history, but chose to focus on the car's post-war redemption. The irony? Herbie's cheerful persona helped erase the Beetle's grim past in the public eye. Pre-1945, Kübelwagens have a spare tire mounted on the hood and no doors. Post-war Beetles, like Herbie, have smooth fenders and full windows. Why? Because number 11 reveals how one option code made Herbie illegal in half the US. Number 11. The 1963 Beetle lacked seat belts and was banned in some states owning a stock. 1963 Beetle in 1968 could get you fined or worse. By 1968, 12 US states required front seat belts in all vehicles. The 1963 Beetle had none. To comply with filming regulations, Disney installed hidden lap belts in every Herbie stitched into the seat foam so they wouldn't show on camera. Real 1963 Beetles didn't get factory seat belts until the 1968 model year. Insurance companies also blacklisted pre-1965 Beetles, charging double premiums for lack of safety features. One insurer, Allstate, refused coverage entirely. Authentic Herbie interiors have discreet belt buckles under the seat cushions. Stock 63s have none, making them illegal to register in strict states today without modification. The part nobody talks about. Number 10 exposes the Beetle's secret weight-saving trick. Number 10. The body was made of thin-gauge steel, lighter than a bicycle. At just 1,700 pounds, the Beetle weighed less than 2 adult men, and that was by design. Post-war Germany had limited steel supplies, so Volkswagen used 0.6mm sheet metal thinner than most cars of the era. A 1963 Beetle's body panels were so light, a strong breeze could rock it on its suspension. This low weight gave it surprising agility and made it ideal for stunts. Herbie's team exploited this by removing sound-deadening carpets and even the spare tire to shave another 60 pounds. The result? A power-weight ratio of 24.5 kg/HP, better than a 1968 Mustang GT. Tap the fender with your knuckle. A hollow ping indicates thin factory steel. Thicker thud means a later restoration or rust repair. And if you think that's wild, number 9 rewrites the origin story of the red racing stripes. Number 9. The stripes were hand-painted and never perfect. Those iconic red stripes? They were never measured, never symmetrical, and never the same twice. Disney's art department used 3M vinyl tape as a guide, but often free-handed the final paint for character. Each Herbie had slightly different stripe widths, curves, and placements. In the Love Bug, the stripes taper toward the front. In Herbie, rides again they're parallel. The red was signal red, but batches varied in brightness due to pigment shortages. Even the number 53 was hand-painted, sometimes leaning left, sometimes right. This imperfection made each Herbie feel unique, like a fingerprint. Authentic stripes have slight brush marks and uneven edges. Perfectly symmetrical stripes indicate a modern decal, inauthentic for pre-1980 builds. But it gets weirder. Number 8 reveals the horn's real origin. Number 8. The happy horn was a modified bicycle bell. That cheerful beep beep wasn't a car horn, it was a child's bike bell in disguise. Standard Beetle horns of the era emitted a weak honk. Disney wanted something friendlier. The sound team took a 1960s Schwinn bicycle bell, mounted it behind the grille, and connected it to the horn button via a solenoid. The result was the iconic beep beep, actually 2 rapid strikes of the bell. In post-production, they layered it with a higher-pitched electronic tone to cut through theater speakers. Real Beetles never had this sound. It's purely cinematic. Authentic Herbie replicas use dual-tone air horns tuned to 800 Hz and 1200 Hz. Purists install actual bicycle bells for show, but they're not road legal. Here's the kicker. Number 7 uncovers how Herbie broke California emissions laws. Number 7. Most Herbies were registered as antique vehicles to avoid smog checks, to bypass strict California emissions. Disney classified Herbies as museum pieces. In 1972, California required all vehicles to pass smog tests, but exempted cars over 25 years old. Since the Beatles were already 9 years old in 1972, Disney exploited a loophole. They registered them as historical props under a fake nonprofit, the Love Bug Preservation Society. This let them run unmodified engines without catalytic converters, critical for reliability during long shoots. Records show all Herbies had historic tags on their registration. Today, restoring a true Herbie in California requires either a smog-exempt year, pre-1976, or a collector plate tricky, but doable with proper paperwork. Even more shocking, Number 6 reveals the car's secret interior. Number 6, the dashboard. Hid a control panel for autonomous scenes. Beneath the glove box lay a hidden switchboard used to make Herbie drive itself. For scenes where Herbie moves without a driver, the crew needed remote control. A custom panel with toggle switches controlled the ignition, steering, and horn. It was operated by a technician hiding in the back seat or nearby van. The system was so well hidden that even actors didn't know it existed. In Herbie Rides Again, this panel allowed Herbie to climb the Alamo staircase using hidden cables and pulleys synced to the switches. Original screen-used Herbies had drilled holes in the transmission tunnel for hydraulic lines. Look for non-factory wiring looms under the dash. The twist? Number 5 exposes how one color was so rare only 3 exist. Number 5. Only 3 were factory painted. Pearl White, Volkswagen's standard white, was flat. Pearl White, Herbie's true color, was almost non-existent. The 1963 Beetle came in white, a pearlescent finish created with mica flakes. Due to cost, VW offered L87 only on deluxe models. Production records from the Wolfsburg plant show only 3,127 Beetles left the line in L87 in 1963, just 2.3% of total output. Of those, only 3 were imported to the US in pristine condition. Disney had to repaint most Herbies to match L87's unique shimmer. The paint process cost 10x a normal respray due to the mica alignment required. Real L87 has a blue undertone in sunlight and a silver sheen in shade. Resprayed cars often look chalky. Check the door jamb sticker for L87. And that's not all. Number 4 reveals the hidden compartment nobody noticed. Number 4. There was a secret glove box, but only in US models. The 1963 Beetle's dashboard hid a feature European models lacked. US spec Beetles included a lockable glove box behind the passenger side dash panel to meet American expectations. European Beetles had a blank panel, storage was an afterthought, but US importers added the glove box as standard. Disney used it to hide radio receivers for remote control scenes. The compartment was so small it could only hold papers or a map, yet it became part of Herbie's personality. Open the passenger dash. If there's a latch and lock, you've got a US model. European versions have a solid metal plate. Why? Because number 3 uncovers the truth about the 53 number. Number 3. 53 wasn't random. It was a studio inside joke. The number on Herbie's door had nothing to do with racing and everything to do with Disney politics. Producer Bill Walsh wanted to honor his office number at the Walt Disney Studios, room 53. Early scripts used 13 and 7, but Walsh insisted on 53. It wasn't a NASCAR reference or a tribute to a real driver, it was pure studio lore. The number was hand-painted in 12-inch tall letters using signal red enamel. In Fully Loaded, the number briefly changes to 143, but reverts to 53 for the finale as a nod to tradition. Authentic screen-used Herbies always have 53 in a specific font slightly curved to match the door contour. Flat straight fonts indicate a replica, but there's a twist. Number 2 reveals how the car almost got a different face. Number 2, Herbie's face was added, last minute after test screenings. The headlights and grille weren't always eyes and a smile. They were just car parts. Early cuts of the Love Bug treated the Beetle as a normal vehicle, but test audiences didn't connect with it. So Disney animators studied the car's front end and realized the round headlights and curved bumper resembled a face. They enhanced this in post-production with subtle lighting and camera angles, making the headlights blink and the bumper grin. In later films, they added slight upward curves to the bumper and used brighter bulbs in the left headlight to simulate a wink. This anthropomorphism became Herbie's soul. Authentic Herbie builds use H4 halogen bulbs with a 3200K color temperature, warmer than stock to mimic eyes. The bumper must have a 3-degree upward bend at the ends. And now, the truth that changes everything. Number 1. Disney ordered. Every Herbie destroyed, but one survived after Herbie. Fully Loaded underperformed in 2005, Disney mandated the destruction of all surviving Herbies to protect the brand. Fearing cheap knockoffs and theme park misuse, CEO Michael Eisner signed a memo ordering all screen-used Herbies scrapped. 10 cars were crushed at a Burbank facility in 2006. But one Herbie 11, the hero car from Fully Loaded, was smuggled out by a sympathetic crew member and hidden in a Nevada storage unit. It remained there until 2018 when the owner's son discovered it. The car still has its original engine remote control panel and hand-painted stripes. Disney has not pursued legal action likely to avoid publicity. The part nobody talks about? This lone survivor is now the most valuable Herbie in existence, estimated at $1.2 million. Its existence redefines Herbie's legacy, not just a corporate mascot, but a rebel who outsmarted his own creators. Herbie 11 has a unique V-iron and a hidden compartment in the rear seat base containing original call sheets. Authentication requires DNA matching of paint chips to Disney's archive samples. This act of preservation turns Herbie from prop to legend, proof that even machines can choose their own fate. Herbie lives in the space between metal and magic, born from post-war steel, baptized in Hollywood paint, and immortalized by a child's innocent observation. He's more than a car. He's a testament to the idea that personality can live in the most unexpected places. So which fact blew your mind? Was it the bicycle bell horn, the ocean rescue, or the secret survivor? Drop your pick in the comments. We read everyone. If you loved this deep dive, check out our videos on the General Lee's hidden police origins or the A-Team Van's farm registration secrets. Because in the world of cinematic cars, the smallest machines often leave the biggest tire marks. Until next time, keep your heart light and your horn cheerful.